she had passed away. She was gone. Just shock. Like everybody was shocked. Never saw that coming. It was not anything that anybody ever expected, especially from Raylan. She didn't have anything else in her system except for the 2 milligram of fentanyl.
People thought they were buying, the oxycodone or the hydrocodone or whatever, and they ended up buying pills that had fentanyl mixed in it.
People from all walks of life and college kids and young kids, teenagers, thinking they're getting an Adderall at a party or something, and they're just dropping dead.
Hundreds of overdose deaths in South Mississippi linked to fentanyl.
It would not be uncommon at one facility for us to see 3-4 opioid overdoses in one day.
I'm taking you inside the crisis in Mississippi's hardest hit county.
We brought in over 100,000 pills of fentanyl pills just last year, just our unit.
From raw stories of addiction.
He's beside me and he's shaking me. Trisha, wake up, Trisha, wake up.
So you're overdosing.
I was overdosing.
To the front lines of law enforcement's fight against this deadly drug.
And a lot of the overdoses that we get at this point involve fentanyl in some kind of way.
This is Fatal Dose, South Mississippi's fentanyl crisis.
Drug overdose deaths have reached an all-time high.
Tonight, more of the deadly drug fentanyl has been taken off the street.
Fentanyl is killing Americans at an alarming pace. It's hidden in pill form, laced in powders, and pushed by ruthless cartels who are flooding our streets with poison disguised as medicine.
Since the turn of the century, more than 1 million Americans have died from opioid overdose. Countless lives were sent down that deadly road by their doctors.
Roughly around 25 years ago is when we started to see an increase kind of in opioid use across the country.
An epidemic fueled by excessive pain pill prescriptions.
Pain management used to be opioid heavy because largely that was one of the major tools we had.
A nationwide problem that invaded Mississippi. From 2012 to 2017, there were more opioid prescriptions dispensed in Mississippi each year than there were people living in this state.
People were getting prescriptions for anything, and they were getting large quantity prescriptions. That's when we really started seeing a big difference. I mean, our streets were flooded with pills.
Families, communities, and citizens across our country are currently dealing with the worst drug crisis in American history. These overdoses are driven by a massive increase in addiction to prescription painkillers.
Soon, national mandates forced doctors to cut back on the prescription of opioids, but the death toll kept rising.
A lot of it, we think, was from those patients or those people that were seeing their doctors and getting pain pills, and now they're having to go out on the street and get them because they can't get them from their doctors anymore.
Though the federal government cracked down on opioid prescription, the damage had been done. America was addicted to painkillers.
It was almost overnight, when the DEA came down on doctors, and they stopped writing the prescriptions. Pharmacists stopped filling them because they didn't want to get in trouble, and that did nothing for all the people that were stuck with opiate addictions.
How powerful is that addiction to opioids?
Very powerful. Very, very powerful.
Opiate addiction is totally different than anything else that we deal with. It's really scary for us to see what these drugs are doing to people because it's a lifelong battle.
For many, opioid addiction is an itch that needs to be scratched at any cost.
At first it was heroin. We saw a lot of heroin overdose kind of uptick after that. And then when that really wasn't readily available anymore, that's when the fentanyl started to flood in.
From 2021 to 2023, more than 900 Mississippians died of suspected opioid overdose. A quarter of those deaths happened in Harrison County.
People from all walks of life and college kids and young kids, teenagers.
Regular, everyday people like Trisha Holloman. What is it about those pain medications that drew you in?
You don't feel anything. You're numb. And it makes the pain go away, but then once you run out, it just hurts your body, like completely, and then you want more.
This is Trisha and her 3 kids, their faces wide with smiles. But behind their happiness is a tough life, one that almost left these kids without a mom. But Trisha didn't wake up one day and decide to be an opioid addict. It started at a young age, about 11 years old, when she and her mom were in a car crash that nearly flung them off a bridge.
It was scary.
That had to be traumatizing.
Yeah, it hurt my mom pretty bad too.
And you had injuries from that?
Yes, and my back injuries.
That back injury slowly took over Trisha's life. Little did she know it would lead to something much, much worse.
After back surgery, I recovered, and then I ended up having to have shoulder surgery, which also came the pain pills. I was going to Alabama to a doctor over there, and she was prescribing me Roxy 30s and Roxy 20s.
That's a lot.
Yes, it's very highly addictive.
Had you taken pills before that?
No.
Experimented, anything like that?
No.
Her doctor, like many across the nation, soon faced that federal mandate to cut back on opioid prescriptions.
Everybody had like Percocets, Roxys, Lortabs, and it was very easy to find. But once they ran out, I would go to something stronger, which was fentanyl.
What was your first experience with fentanyl? Do you remember?
I loved it. It made me feel like I was on cloud nine. It numbed everything, and it lasted longer than a pain pill.
Fentanyl is about 50 to 100 times stronger than the powerful painkiller morphine. Dr. Gregory Patano says it's as common in the medical world as anything else.
It's most commonly used for pain control. It's used in ambulances. It's used as a sedative when people are getting surgeries. So it's a very useful medication, but in the wrong situations, it can be very, very dangerous.
Trisha quickly found out for herself. She said buying fentanyl off the street opened the door for other drugs. And soon, she was mixing heroin with meth, then shooting it up.
Shooting up heroin with meth, is there ever a moment of realization of this might not be good?
Yes.
That moment of clarity happened at a motel. Her friends were hanging out while she was in the bathroom, snorting a line of fentanyl.
I did a line, and when I came back out, I remember having an outer body experience. I could see Justin freaking out, like, Trisha, wake up, and all I see is like a white light coming down.
So you were overdosing?
I was overdosing.
Because it's so powerful, it quickly starts to act. It suppresses the part of the brain that tells you to breathe. They start to get drowsy, or they start to get confused, and then they simply start to slow their breathing, stop their breathing.
Miraculously, Trisha survived the overdose.
Sitting here today and thinking back on that,
I'm very blessed.
Unfortunately, it's an outcome rarely seen with fentanyl. When drug cartels began making counterfeit prescription pills that secretly contained fentanyl, it brought an unprecedented wave of death, one that even caught the Harrison County Narcotics Task Force off guard.
We were sending pills off just thinking they were lower tab or oxys or whatever, and all of a sudden, months down the road, we're getting them back and they're all coming back as fentanyl, and we're thinking, holy smokes. That was around the time we started realizing we've got a major issue here.
People thought they were buying the oxycodone or the hydrocodone or whatever, and they ended up buying pills that had fentanyl mixed in it.
Xanax and lower tabs and Adderall is a big one. I mean, they're putting fentanyl in everything. What's so scary is that, you can have 1,000 pills and you could take 1,000 of them during the course of your addiction and be fine. But all it takes is that one pill and it's got the lethal amount of fentanyl in there and it's over.
Like a game of Russian roulette where the players don't know their finger is on the trigger. Thousands of lives taken with the swallow of a pill. Next, a family relives the trauma of losing their daughter.
The fire department came out and everything else was a blur. She had passed away. She was gone. She didn't have anything else in her system except for the 2 milligram of fentanyl.